And we're live. All right. Welcome back to another Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. Man, I got a feeling today going to be fun. All right. Because we are going to talk about finding love in Costa Rica. Is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? But whether you're looking for love or not, I can guarantee you that the most important thing you need to know is understanding the culture of Costa Rica. The more you understand about the culture of Costa Rica, the better life will be for you when you're here in Costa Rica. So, the most important thing you need to know about finding love is understanding the culture. Because I can tell you that because of the culture, both men and women are very, very different. Okay. So we're going to be talking about that today. And I got some stories to share with you. But first, hey, if this is your first time here, I'm Alan with the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. Hey, been in Costa Rica since November 2013. That's over 11 years, traveled all over Costa Rica, but lived in over 25 different locations and houses just because I wanted to learn Costa Rica and find my perfect slice of paradise. And that's really what you should do. And so, all the information we give away here on this channel, give away 100% free. What does that mean? Well, that means I don't have any product and services to sell you. The whole reason I do this is because I love it. I love to share this information. So I'm not going to say, hey, if you want me to help you move to Costa Rica, that's what we do. Spend $2,000 with me, and I'll make sure you get here with your dog and all of your other stuff, and I'll con you for some more other stuff. That ain't going to happen, okay? Now, hey, time is money. You can get all this information free. You can watch all these videos, okay? But like I said, time is money. If you want to schedule a phone consultation, you're more than welcome to do that. If you want to join our members only area, $10 a month. Best investment of your life because you get all your answers to your questions for peanuts, okay? Yeah, I used to work in a circus. So anyway, we're going to have a lot of fun. So welcome to the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. Hey, it's the only channel giving you the whole truth, nothing but the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, hey, as always, be engaging. Put a lot of questions in there. And I promise you that before the hour is up, I'm going to do my best to answer every single question in there. Always trying to answer questions pertaining to the topic first. But there's, we almost always have plenty of time to answer all your other questions. Okay. So if you're ready to have fun, put a 10 in the chat box. Man, time slipped on me. I got to grab some apple juice. All right. All right. So, man, I got some good stuff. Hey, welcome, Randy, Eduardo, Uncle Chico. Wait, Uncle Chico. Now I know you already got love. Matter of fact, I think Uncle Chico. Let's see, Uncle Chico. Uncle Chico's not a Tico, but he's Uncle Chico. But I think he's got a Tico wife. You got a Tico wife? You just trying to learn how to treat her right? You let me know. I mean, you got to learn a lot when you're taking care of a woman. So you're going to find out some good stuff on this one. All right. All right. Hey, I like this. There's lots of good stuff. Matter of fact, let me show this real quick. Eduardo said he met his wife. So I'm kind of giving away a tip here. I probably shouldn't show this right now. But Eduardo said, I met my wife. Now, his wife is Tika. He didn't say that here. But Eduardo met his Tika wife in South Beach on Miami, Florida. I think that's one of them topless beaches, I think. I have to ask Eduardo. Anyway, in 1995, he had a Linga soccer T-shirt on. And she said, hey, Pura Vida. And since then, they've been married for 30 years. So, if a woman comes up to you and says, Pura Vida, and she's in Florida, that probably means you want to get married. And he said, yeah. Well, and so, Randy replied and says, a Tika woman with a U.S. passport is one of my top qualifications. We're going to talk about some of those things because if you're going to marry a Tika woman, it's probably a good idea that if she has a United States passport, she's already been to the United States, she's got a pretty good idea. And you're already at the upper echelon of the women in Costa Rica, okay? So, hey, I'm not talking about any mean, ugly stuff, just giving you the facts, okay? And Uncle Chico, he answered, he says, Uncle Chico is a Tico. His wife is a Canadian, okay? And they've been 34 years together. So, man, okay, Uncle Chico, let's see. He's the Tico, wife's Canadian. I'd like her to weigh in. Tell me, Miss Chica, how do you like being married to a Tico for 34 years? Now, Uncle Chico's very different than the normal Ticos. I can tell you that, okay? And that's because he's been out of the country for such a long time. He's done forgot what it's like to be a Tico. So he watches my channel so he can learn how to get back to that. All right, let's have fun. Okay, so before we get going, welcome everybody. Make sure you give me a big shout out. Let me know where you watching from, okay? And be engaging, okay? It always helps with the algorithm if you make sure you share, you like, you engage, especially after the video is over. Make sure you put in those same questions and comments in the comment section below the video, okay? It really just helps for the algorithm to say, hey, people like this, and this is good information, and gets it out to more people. So let's get on it. Now, as I was saying earlier, the most important thing, so if you're coming to Costa Rica and you're like, I'm single, I think I'll find me a Tica, okay? Because a lot of people come down here and not knowing some of the stuff I'm about to share with you, getting married to a Tica can be your worst nightmare. Getting married to a Tico can be your worst nightmare. And we'll talk about why that is, okay? But the most important thing, no matter where you are in the world, if you understand the culture, okay? Costa Rican culture is very, very, very different than the United States. And if you understand the culture, then you'll understand why that Tica is the way she is, why that Tico is the way she is. Now, whether you're a man or a woman, okay, I'm going to give you some tips on finding love in Costa Rica. That is, if you're looking to fall in love with a Costa Rican, okay? Now, before I get into that, let me point out something that's very clear. A lot of people go to Google and they'll type in, is it good to marry a Tica? What are Costa Rican women like, okay? And they find an article and they read all of this phenomenal stuff. They read how caring and how family oriented and what wonderful wives these Latinas make and blah, 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 blah. Now, here's what's important. I'm an internet marketer, okay? I can sell a comb to a bald man. I got 5 pair, just myself. That's how good a salesman I am. So it's important that you understand that when you're looking for accurate, reliable, trustworthy information, when you get to an article that's talking about all this stuff, before you even read the article, you need to take a look and see what website is that article coming from. The majority, let's say, for example, you're trying to find out about women, Latinas in Costa Rica. You're going to find lots of great information. But when you find out what website it comes from, it's coming from a dating site. Duh! They're never going to tell you all of the bad stuff or any real stuff. They're going to tell you all of the great things. They're going to tell you what they know you want to hear so you can join their dating website, okay? That's just the way it is. And that's true for anything. Costa Rica is great at marketing how green, how wonderful, how nice Costa Rica is. However, while there's parts of it that's true, it's not 100% true. And that's with any country, okay? So what I want to do is I want to share with you, and I have a link to this website in the description below this video so that we can kind of talk about some of the culture you need to know about. Because, some guys make mistakes of they come down here and they fall in love with their prostitute. I'm not making that up. And then they want to get married to this prostitute. Never marry your prostitute, okay? Why? You're an ATM machine. Hence the whole reason you hired her to begin with. Okay. So you don't want to make that mistake. But, guess what? There are still child marriages in Costa Rica. Do what? That's right. There's still child marriages in Costa Rica and a lot of places in the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to a website. And this website is girlsnotbrides.org. Okay. And their whole objective in this website and this organization is to stop child brides. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to share this on my screen and we'll take a look at this, but this is going to help you to understand a little bit about the culture of Costa Rica. And then I'll share some real stories and some experiences with ticas. Okay. So now before I go in there, I can't tell you these are my personal experiences because you know that Rebecca and I because me and Rebecca wouldn't be a happy camper if I was dating a tica. Let's put it that way. But I have some very, very close friends, and I do a lot with the ticos. So I've learned a lot of stuff. So some of the stuff I'm just telling you hearsay, okay, based on my experience from what they've shared with me, okay. But a lot of stuff is stuff that I've researched. So let me share with you real quick. Okay, so if we quickly take a look at some of this stuff right here. All right, now this is girlsnotbride.org, and this is the research that they've done and some of the information that they've shared. Okay, so 17. So right at the very top, it talks about the prevalence rates. 2% of child marriages by the age of 15. Okay, so in Costa Rica, to this day. There's 2% of people girls under the age of 15 that are married, okay? 17% of child marriages by the age of 18, okay? Now, it goes on. Does the country have a national strategy or a plan to stop this? No, they don't. Not right now. Is there any partnerships or coalition with the Girls Not Brides? No, okay? Let's go on. It says... the legal age of marriage is 18, okay? But that has only been recently. We're going to find out that recently, and we'll find out as we go through here. So 17% of the Costa Ricans marry or enter a union before the age of 18, and 2% marry or enter a union before the age of 15, okay? Now, what the CMFMU, which is Child Early Forced Marriage and Union rates, are highest in the Limon and the Punta Arenas area. Okay, so the Limon is the Caribbean side. So if we look at that map right here, this is the Limon side right over here. So the highest range is over there, and the Punta Arenas area, which is some is along the coast and falls right in here. Okay, so the Punta Arenas area, where 31% of women aged 20 to 49 were married before the age of 18. In Guanacaste, 25%. Alajuela, 19%. San Jose, 15%. Okay. So these are people that are getting married at an extremely young age before 18, and the legal age to get married is 18. Now, it's important to understand the framework. Child marriage is most prevalent in rural areas. So like I'm in a very rural area, so it's not uncommon, where 27% of women ages 20 to 49 were married before the age of 18, compared to 17% in the urban area. So it kind of breaks it down for you, all right? And it's usually most prevalent in the indigenous, in the Indians, and the Afro-American, Afro-Costa Rican cultures. And that Afro-Costa Rican culture is over on the Limon side or Caribbean side, okay? So in Costa Rica, this child early forced marriage and unions, it's normally in a informal settings where they haven't really gotten married, but the girl is living with an older partner. So it's just kind of give you an idea. Let's take a look at a couple of these other things. So what is it that drives child marriages in the country? And this is where it gets important for you to understand some of the culture right here. Okay. And so child early and forced marriage unions are driven by gender inequality and the belief that women and girls are somehow inferior to men and boys. So what you need to understand is that Costa Rica has what's called a Machista society. We're going to look a little deeper in that in just a little bit, but I want to show you some of these stats right here, okay? Now, another thing that drives it is the level of education. Listen to this, because Costa Rica is really, when they market how awesome, how amazing their education is, okay? But take a look at these facts right here. The level of education, 40% of women with no education were married or in a union before the age of 18, compared to only 22% who had a complete secondary education or higher. So that's what's driving some of these child marriages, or these women who get married before they're even 18, okay? Poverty is another big reason. 30% of the women living in Costa Rica, Costa Rica's poorest households were married or in a union before the age of 18, compared to only 8% of the richest that live in Costa Rica, okay? So rates, those forced child marriages are higher in rural areas, like we talked about, okay? So a lot of it has to do with the economy. Now, harmful practices. These forced marriages, early forced marriage unions, particularly common among indigenous groups, including the, I can't pronounce that, but it's the Niobe tribe, anyway, community, where girls are deemed ineligible to marry when they are deemed eligible to marry as soon as they reach puberty. So, hey, that's 10, 11, 12 years old for a lot of girls, okay? And so the gender norms, 23% of girls aged 15 and 19 are married or in a union with men who are more than 10 years older than them. And experts note that changing societal acceptance and power dynamics surrounding takes time, okay? So that gives you a little bit of stuff. Now, and let me take a look in here. I'm going to scan through some of this, because some of this stuff really not, well, it's important. And you can go take a look at this more in detail after this video, okay? So now, and the reason that this is a great website is that they actually are working with the government, and the government actually submitted voluntary national review, and they're supposed to. They did one in 2020 or 2022, and they're sending out another one. Now, Costa Rica has committed. Now, this is where Costa Rica does marketing. Costa Rica always comes out with these laws, but they have no way to enforce it. But you have to understand, Costa Rica is going to say the right thing. Costa Rica says they're committed to eliminate child and early and forced marriages by 2030, in line with target rates, okay, of 5.3 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Is that ever going to happen? We don't know. We hope so. But anyway, that's just to give you an idea, okay? So there's lots of great information in here, and they actually show where they get this information from, okay? So what is the government doing to address child marriages? Well, they're doing nothing. There is no strategy or plan, okay? But they're saying they're going to end it by 2030, but they're really doing nothing, okay? The legal age is 18 or above, no exceptions, but that wasn't until recently. So let's go down here, because it's going to tell you right here that in January, only since 2017, in January of 2017, before that time, you could have married someone between the ages of 15 and 18 if you got consent or you got permission from the parents, okay? So they just now changed that just a few years ago, right? So you can see why this has affected some of the culture, all right? So anyway, here's some national partnerships, which they have none really, and sources, and they list all the sources where they're getting their information. So this is really a valuable source, but it kind of gives you an idea on some of the stuff that's happening and how some of this stuff has affected finding love in Costa Rica and the culture. So, I've met lots of women, talking with women and talking with them and meeting their children and this, that, and the other. And I got a couple of really good Tico friends. We go out and do things, whether we're on a job or whatever. And so this one lady that I know personally, got 4 kids. Wonderful lady, 40 years old, 4 kids. And we got talking about the father. She says, well, there are 4 kids from 4 different fathers. Think about that for a moment. 4 kids, 4 different fathers, okay? There's only one reason to do that. Okay, and she has no desire to get married. That's paycheck, 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 paycheck. She don't have to work. So just like in the United States, where I don't know what happened in the United States, but women kind of went nuts. Not all of them. Okay, so remember when I'm talking, I'm not putting everybody in a lump of clay, but a lot of women are like, I don't need a man, don't need a man, don't need a man, don't need a man. And so men have decided to go somewhere else to go look for love. And Costa Rica may not be the best place to do that. Now, are there some legitimate, great, wonderful Tico men and Tico women? Absolutely. 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 Okay. And hey, sounds like to me, Uncle Chico, he's a Tico man. Found him she found one of them found a good man. Or he found a good woman and she like, hey, that's a good man. And check out Eduardo, got a great Tico wife, okay? So not everybody, but I want to tell you that, yes, in Costa Rica, in my opinion, it'd be very, very tough. I know another example, and this happens a whole lot where not only are women have several kids from several fathers because it's that money that they're going to get, that child support, they don't have to work. Another incident is that a lot of women, just like the Tico men, okay, whereas Tico men are going to gringo price you, and overcharge you all the time. Women are not going to overcharge you, but you are an ATM machine, okay? You take them out to eat. After you've taken her out to eat once or twice, you don't be surprised when y'all getting ready to leave. The waiter brings 3 plates out. It's like, what are those 3 plates for? Oh, I bought my 3 boys something to eat. No, you bought her 3 boys something to eat. She didn't ask you about it. You're an ATM machine. I saw this with my own eyes happen. Okay. So you have to understand you can find a good Tico woman. Okay. I remember, I like to run and go hiking. And I actually got to talking with this one lady and she was single, but she was dating this guy. Man, she was just the sweetest thing. We got to talking about all kind of stuff. And I thought, wow. If I wasn't married, she seemed like a really smart woman. She was a businesswoman, had a business. And anyway, so there are a lot of things. So anyway, this is stuff that, but this will help you to understand some of the culture. Hey, Eduardo says, I don't like today's school. I'm getting off. Well, he's already got love. He probably don't need this stuff. Been married a long time. So, hey, yeah, you're not going to make me feel bad if you want to get off, but I'm sharing for those people that want this information. Hey, you're not going to like every single topic we talk about, unfortunately, okay? And I don't like to, I like to try to share as much as I can about everything. Now, I got a buddy. He, really sharp guy, Tico guy, got a business. And so as we're talking about some of these Tico women, now this guy, he's, I want to say middle 50s, okay? But he tells me he's always got young girls hitting him up. Well, why is that? Okay. And when I say young girls, I ain't talking about no 30-year-olds. This guy's in his middle 50s, but he's always got 18, 20-year-olds, hitting him up. Well, why is that? Come on. No 18-year-old is interested in a 50-year-old guy except for one thing. They believe that if she can hook him, then she's going to have her a rich sugar daddy. Okay, that happens all over the world, but it does happen a lot in Costa Rica. And it's just important that you know that, okay? So don't think that just because you got some sweet, hot-looking 18, 20-year-old coming to you that you that good looking, okay? Take a look in the mirror and find out, okay? You look good with green on, okay? Green. So there are some really great Tico women out there. There are some great Tico men, okay? But these are just things that you need to know. Now, I'm going to share, like I was saying, and here's the about men. And that affects the women, okay? Women would love to get a gringo or a foreigner, and here's why. In Costa Rica, it's a Machista society. And if you haven't heard of that, it just simply means machoism. Here's the definition if you go and Google it, okay? A Machista man is someone who embodies traditional, masculine stereotypes and attitudes that emphasize dominance, control, and superiority over women. This includes behaviors such as verbal and physical abuse, controlling actions, and lack of emotional expression. Machista men often feel entitled to certain privileges and behaviors, including physical intimacy, and may disregard established boundaries. They tend to hold double standards. They can go play, but she can't go play, where they can do certain things that they would not allow their partners to do. Additionally, machista men are less likely to share in the household responsibilities and may hold misogynistic, I can't pronounce that word, big word, views, seeing women primarily as caretakers and homemakers. Okay, so it is very different. Uncle Chico shares something very good. And thank you very much. Uncle Chico supports us. And there's a lot of people on this channel that supports us, whether you hit the dollar sign on YouTube or whether you join our members area or ask for a phone consultation. Greatly appreciate it. But Uncle Chico says, any relationship in Costa Rica, take it slow. Try not to move your partner into your house inside Costa Rica until you know it's one that you're sure of, because it could cost you if things go south. The laws in Costa Rica will surprise you. I am so glad you brought that up, Uncle Chico, because that was my next topic. That, hey, if you marry a tica, and let's say that you're a tourist, or maybe you're like me, you are, I don't have my residency, so I have to go out every 180 days and stamp in. Okay, stamp out, stamp in. If I don't want to stamp out and stamp in, all I got to do is marry me a tica. That's right. Marry me a tica. And guess what? She can literally keep me from leaving the country. I'd be her love slave. Okay. May not want to be. I might have made the biggest mistake in the world, but she can literally, and here's why. If, the Costa Rica is good about trying to take care of their people. And it's like, you marry a tica, all of a sudden you don't like the relationship and you decide to leave, you may never come back. And then that tika might have a child, or she's by herself and she's having to support herself. So guess what? You better be very careful. You better know the law, okay? Which means making sure that you have a prenup and making sure that you are sure that she is a good woman, because anybody can pretend to love you, and slap it on you, baby. I'm going to slap it on him, and it's going to be so good. He's going to fall in love with me, and I'm going to have me a sugar daddy, okay? So anybody can slap it on you for a short time until you fall in love. May not be the best thing in the world, okay? So like Uncle Chico says, you better take it slow, because you get moved in or she moves in with you, she could take you to the cleaners in a hurry, okay? So it's something that's very, very, very important. So, and look, like I said, not all of them are bad. Just like Rick Golden says, he says, I got me a keeper. She saved my bacon when I moved here in 2016. Man, I'd love for you to share that story. And it's like I said, there are some good women, there are some good men. However, we just live in a world where it has gotten pretty rough. But as I was saying earlier, Randy was saying, hey, a woman with a U.S. passport is one of my top qualifications. And why is that a good thing? Well, it's very, very difficult for a Costa Rican to get a passport to go into the United States, okay? So if she has that, then Costa Rica has deemed that she either has enough attachments, or the United States, whatever, has deemed that she's more likely to come back. If she's not likely to come back, then she's going to stay over there, and that's not what Costa Rica or the United States wants, okay? So, if she's already got a passport, well, that means she's already in a higher echelon of ticas, qualifications. So that's really a good thing, all right? So it's really important that, and that's true for anything. And Rick says, hey, his wife saved his bacon because she could speak English, helped him to navigate a lot of red tape. See, and that's good to know. So y'all built a relationship, sound like to me, organically, and she helped you out. And that's pretty dang awesome. And, ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay. So anyway, there's just a lot of things that you definitely need to be careful of because regardless whether you're looking for love or not, when you come to Costa Rica, if I had to put a percentage behind it, I don't have any sources, but if I had to put a percentage behind it, I would say 90% of the people, as soon as they see this white skin and they know you're not from Costa Rica, you're pretty much seen as an ATM machine. So you do need to be very, very careful. Costa Rica can be very safe, but there are things that you can do to mitigate, to kind of protect yourself so that you're not getting the gringo price all the time. You got to use a lot of good common sense, really. Okay. So in my opinion, if I was going to be looking for love, personally, I don't think I would go to Costa Rica to look for love. When you marry in Costa Rica, just understand that you are going to be marrying the whole family. So when you find you a good tika, she might be the only one in the family that's good, and maybe she doesn't see you as an ATM machine, but the family going to see you as an ATM machine. And so before you know it, it's going to be like, hey, talk to your husband. I want to start this business deal. I need $500. And she sweet talks you. You give $500 for a business that never gets started, and then all of a sudden the money disappears. It happens in Costa Rica, okay? A lot of that stuff happens. So understand that, before you know it, mama needs an emergency surgery. She needs help, and she needs money, or she needs medicine. They can get all that free from Caja, okay? Don't need money, but you don't know that, and you're con. So common sense. You just need to understand and be very careful. Now, hey, for you guys that are married to a tika, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to put in there, 10 being really high, do you agree that all tikas, most tikas are very, very, very jealous? Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, you agree that most all tikas are very jealous? Put that in the chat box, okay? And so they're very jealous. Why is that? Because they don't want no other tika to get their ATM machine. Okay, I know. No, they're going to hang on to their man. Tikas by nature just very, very jealous, okay? So R&B said, I married a woman in a Latino country, and I understand the ATM issue and the passport thing too. These are important issues. So, hey, but I can tell you what, if you do find you a tika, a good tika, I can tell you it will make life in Costa Rica that much better, especially if she already understands English, and then y'all can really go about and have fun all over Costa Rica. Now, if you don't know the language, well, you will pick up the language really, really fast because, hey, the more time you spend with her, and if you're dating her and marrying her, well, then you're motivated to learn the language. So let's kind of flip it for a second, okay? It's kind of unusual for a gringa, that's a female foreigner, to marry a tico, okay? So why is that? Okay, that's very unusual, okay? And in Uncle Chico's case, he's a tico married to a Canadian. And but I'm willing to bet they didn't meet here. He's very different because he's been away from Costa Rica for so long, okay? And if I were a woman, I wouldn't marry a tico unless he has been to the United States, because all of a sudden they get this mind shift when they get to the United States. They begin to see how America does things and why America is like the #1 country in the world because of their customer service, how they just strive to an excellence in most cases, not in everything, but in most cases. So if you marry a tico, a woman, you're coming here looking for love, and you marry a tico, be careful. He might be that machista, that very macho, might not respect. And look, it is very uncommon. I mean, I have been to a lot of birthday parties and a lot of baby showers. And, that's where it's different in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, men go to the baby showers, where in the United States, that's a woman thing, okay? Women invite other women to go to baby showers. Men don't go. In Costa Rica, there ain't nothing to do. So if your girlfriend or wife is having a baby shower, all the men are invited. And they're going to have a big boom box, and everybody's going to be dancing. You're going to take 101 pictures. But there's going to be a huge mess. And I never seen a single man pick up a broom, pick up clean dishes. Woman's job. That's a woman's job. Now, how many Americans or how many foreign women get mad at me right now? Did you say that's a woman's job? No, I didn't say that. That's the Tico mentality. That's just the way it is. So, hey, Randy, you hit the nail on the head. I was going to say it, but you beat me to it. A woman who wants to be in control, okay? She would most definitely marry a Tico, because she knows she is going to pay. She's going to have to take care of him. She's going to pay for him, but she can tell him, get out there and clean that yard. Go do this. And, get out, go find you a job. He might not ever find a job, but he's like, you dumb enough to marry me. I'll let you tell me whatever you want, but I'm spending your money. Well, look. All right, we were buffering for a minute. R&B said, my wife, I'm guessing, didn't understand why he cooked. It was like I was insulting her. Thank you so much, R&B, for sharing that. Yes, absolutely, because it's this Machista society. Most men, they not cooking. They might grill a little bit outside. That's kind of a man thing. But men ain't cooking in the kitchen, okay? And so it's very different, okay? So understand, that's a good point, men, that you guys that are married to women, share some of these insiders that I don't know, okay? Evelina has a good question and says, he's frozen. Oh, I was. Somebody hit the pause button. Would y'all quit doing that? Would y'all quit hitting the pause button? But she said, do Ticos have large families? Now, you know what? Years ago, they were larger families, but right now, I don't see many large families as in having 4 or 5, 6, 7 kids. Most of the time, I see a couple of kids in most cases, sometimes maybe 3. I don't see a lot of large families, but you might see 10 people living in the same house. Kind of feels like it's a large family, okay? So in other words, you might have mom and daddy, and he's got 3 kids, but they're all married. And so now they're married. So that's 6 mom and daddy, and maybe a brother, still living in the same house. And it's just a tiny house, okay? So that's not uncommon that while they may not have large families, all of a sudden when people get married and people are living, it feels like they have a large family. So I hope I answered that question, okay? Now, Uncle Chico says, I met my wife in high school. So she was, wait a minute, Uncle Chico. You met your wife in high school, and I'm guessing you were in the United States or Canada going to school. I met my wife in high school, still together. I'm definitely not the typical Costa Rican because most of my life has been living here in Canada. There you go, folks. And I've chatted and seen a lot of Uncle Chico, so I knew a little bit about his history. And so Uncle Chico was going to high school in Canada, it looks like, met his wife there, and of course, they're high school sweethearts, okay? That was good. Joe says, I just asked my wife if I could have a tika. Now I got a very long honeydew list. No, that ain't a honeydew list. That's a in the doghouse list. No, you can't have a tika wife. By the way, go clean the garage, wash my car, fix that toilet. Now, and Evelina says, well, why they live in the same house? Because it is a very poor country. And so a lot of people will live in the same house up until sometime that either a family member gives them a piece of land and then they qualify to get a free government house, okay? Or they finally find a job and are able to, a job that pays enough to where they can afford a house. So that's why that happens. A lot of people end up living in the same house for a very, very long time, okay? I had a Tico working for me full time. He was over 30 years old, still living with his mama. Yet, I was paying him good money. It just happens, okay? Here's a great question. Everly says, how many wives are you allowed to have in Costa Rica? As many as you want, but I don't think you're going to be happy. You might not be happy with one, but legally, you can only have one, okay? Now, there are some indigenous tribes on a serious note, some of the indigenous Indians that believe in polygamy, and so some of them do. Now, I don't think their wives believe in polygamy, but maybe they do. But anyway, that kind of goes back to some of those stats that we were reading earlier, okay? So, yes, that's correct, Evelina. It's cost savings. They don't have the money to live on their own, okay? And Eduardo says, hey, my Tico friends tell me why you let your wife control the money. And I tell them she's an economist. She knows. So I cook too. I clean house, and they don't understand. They think you're loco, okay? And that's right. A lot of the Ticos, it's not what they do. So here's what's important to know. When I grew up, my first wife was deaf, okay? And a lot of people didn't know that. I don't share a lot of personal stuff on this channel. It's not about me. But my first wife was deaf, and so I raised my first two kids, not by myself, a whole lot. But I love kids. And my wife, we go to bed, she's deaf. She couldn't hear the kids crying. So, when the baby was crying at night, I got up, I was taking care of the babies. So, I was like 200% involved. I probably raised my children more than my first wife did, okay? And I don't want to say anything mean. She wasn't as nurturing a woman as a lot of women. And so I raised my kids, and then anyway, I won't get into all that. But so, and in Costa Rica, most men, Tico men, they're not getting up and changing the baby's diaper. They're not getting up and bottle feeding the baby. And in most cases, nobody bottle feeds their baby. Most cases in Costa Rica, the Ticos are breastfeeding. They're doing the normal, natural thing. And number one, it saves money. Number two, it's better than going by a formula for your baby. Okay. So anyway, those are just things that you need to know. But just like Eduardo says, there are great women all over the world, absolutely. But you'll find better women in some parts of the world than other. And it's just simply because of the culture. Depending on the culture, you're going to find that, some women are more loving, more caring. I do a lot of research, and I was doing some research on the Philippines. People ask all kind of things. As I was wondering, should I live in the Philippines? Should I live in Costa Rica? Should I live in Panama? And the Philippines is too hot for me. But I did find out that the women there are very, very loving. They are very, very nurturing. They are jealous, but and in that country, it's way, way more poor. It's much poorer than Costa Rica. But it seemed like to me, from all of the stuff that I researched, that if I was going to find a wife, that's where I would go. But yes, indeed, I think we're back. I don't know what the deal is, but it seems like we are freezing a lot. I don't know why. Starlink must be doing some stuff here. I'm going to just check real quick and see. Yeah, the network seems to be all right. So anyway, so what other questions do you have about finding love in Costa Rica? Whether you're a woman or whether you're a guy. Now, keep in mind, if you find you a good woman, it's the easiest way to get your residency. Whether you're a man or a woman, the easiest way to get a residency is by marrying one of the locals, okay? But some people would think you're local. Crazy to do it, but it happens. See, so now Evelina says, my son keeps asking about men's rights there. Well, most of the men in Costa Rica think they're right about everything. Like me, I ain't never been wrong. I thought I was wrong one time, but I was only mistaken. So I guess that don't count. I'm always right. I don't. So you might have to clarify that, Evelina. But men's rights, I think in Costa Rica, they have more rights than women. Not supposed to be, and I don't think the government sees it that way. It's what the culture sees it that way. The culture, the men typically look down on women, don't respect women. You're really more of an object, a possession than anything. Okay, Evelina says, like false accusations or women having too many rights. From what I've heard, I don't have any personal experience in this, but it's not like the United States. In the United States, a woman can holler rape just like that, and it's almost as if he's guilty until proven false, but I don't think it's that way in Costa Rica, okay? He still needs to be careful, but I don't think it's that way at all in Costa Rica. But that would be one of those things I think you would really need to talk to an attorney about. I'm just sharing with you from my experience, talking with a lot of my good guy friends, and talking to, some of the women. Okay. Too many rights stuff like claiming ownership of your stuff by living with you for 6 months. And so that's where you do need to be very, very careful, because if you're living with them now, Costa Rica, from my understanding, in the United States, there are a lot of states that have, y'all help me out. A man and a woman don't get married, but whenever they live together, then it's considered, what is that law where they're considered to be married? Somebody help me out. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, and I don't think Costa Rica is like that. I'm almost certain that it's not. And so they don't recognize. Somebody help me out. What is that called? But anyway, somebody will put it in there. So anyhow, but you get a tika pregnant, you're going to pay child support. Common law. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Okay. So Evelina says, Joe says, Costa Rica doesn't recognize common law marriages, last I heard. Okay. And I could be wrong, even though I said I'm never wrong. And Evelina says, we call it civil union, but she's from Finland. So civil union, which is common law, civil thing. Okay. Thank you so much. Y'all helping me out here. Common law. So, anyway, and there are a lot of people in Costa Rica that live together, okay, and they don't get married. I don't know why that is, okay, but I don't think Costa Rica recognizes common law. But, legally, you should check with an attorney, because, after living for so long, do you still need to support her? Do you still owe her something? I don't know, okay? So those would be very interesting things to look into. All right. Okay. So just some important things that I hope help you out. So anyway, what are some other great questions? Matter of fact, hey, if you're looking for love in Costa Rica, I'd like to know. Maybe I'll hook you up. No, I don't know anybody. All right. So, all right. So how is it? So Evelina says we can hear you, but the image frozen. Hey, Starlink is always updating. I'm not sure. So, hey, all I can do is apologize for that. But anyway, but here's one of the important things is that, look, once you learn, for me, and I think for you, if you understand the culture, it will make life so much better. Okay, Costa Rica, family is very big. So if you marry a tico or a tica, then guess what? You're marrying the whole family, and you're going to end up doing a lot of stuff with that family. Okay, and that's really a good thing, in my opinion. I'm a family kind of guy, so I love to go out and do things. Living way up here on the mountain, I get asked all the time to go to a wedding shower or go to a baby shower, and I go. And it's anytime I get invited, I go, and it's always the same thing where we sit around and chit chat, we eat, and we have cake, and everybody takes pictures, and everybody's got the music going, and the men don't want to dance, and I get up there and I dance with everybody, So I end up dancing with all the women, okay, and then maybe every once in a while a tico guy will finally get the nerve to get up there, or after he's drank 3 or 4, then he's got the courage to dance. But it's fun. It is very different. Now, R&B shares that he has asked several men in Costa Rica about the law concerning abuse. And they said that false allegations are common against men. So that they're common in Costa Rica. So thanks for sharing that. So that's his perspective. Okay. I hadn't heard that, and I'm glad that you shared that, R&B. All right. So anyway, hey, that's all I can share with you as far as the information. Randy says, hey, he gonna find him a ticket with a U.S. passport. That's really good stuff right there. Okay, and I bet you she'll help you in your teaching you Espanol. So Costa Rican can really be phenomenal, can be amazing, especially when you can CYE, when you can control your environment. When you can control your environment, you're going to find out that, it's amazing. I talk to people all the time, and, they end up moving in and they find a quaint little place. And as soon as they get moved in, because everything looks good with photos, they go look at it, it's peaceful and quiet. As soon as you move in, all of a sudden, the rooster next door is crowing all hours of the night, the day. The dogs are barking, and then the neighbors playing their music, and it's like they turn it up so loud, So it's hard to control your environment whenever you're renting. So if you're going to rent, try to find a place where there's no houses around you, where you can control your environment. It is very different, but keep in mind that when you're renting, it's not forever. Eventually, you want to buy your own place or find you a place that you can rent long-term that's out in the middle of nowhere, okay? So, folks, hey, I greatly appreciate all of you. Hey, I think that's about it. Unless you got any questions, I think I've answered all of the questions, and we're going to call it a day. Hey, y'all tell me, what would y'all like to hear? Let's see. Next week, matter of fact, next week, this is the 23rd. I think next week is the beginning of the month. No, it's not. The next week is the 30th, okay? So, what do we want to talk about next week? What do you want to learn? What do you want to hear about next week on the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast? All right, so I'm kind of scanning through some of these questions just to see if I missed any. All right. And hey, Uncle Chico shared earlier, he said all of his old friends living in Costa Rica. So he's a Tico. His friends in Costa Rica, he says all of his old friends are divorced or separated. Not sure what happened, but Costa Rica culture definitely has changed for the worst. So, hey, Uncle Chico, while I agree with you on that, I've seen it change a whole lot just 11 years that I've been here. But, hey, I think it's changed all over the world. I know in the United States, man, things have just changed so much. It really is terrible. It's terrible all over the world. I don't know what's happening. All right. Well, folks, I think that is all of it. All right, folks, that looks like all of the questions. Hey, folks, greatly appreciate all of you being here today. Can't wait to see you next week. Not sure what we're going to talk about, but we're going to have a good time regardless, because I enjoy having fun. Anytime we have our live Living Unbridled, Living in Costa Rica podcast. All right, folks, we'll see you next week. Same time, same station. Thanks, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that you please leave comments, questions underneath the video once we shut down the live. Share it, like it, subscribe. Greatly appreciate you. Y'all have a good one. See you next week.